Hello, everybody. Welcome to this video. I'm Medium Kim or Kim Copeland. I'm coming to you today for two hospice stories. I haven't shared any hospice stories in a while because honestly, I've been waiting for good ones to show up. I still work part-time as a hospice on-call nurse, which means I get to pick my days I work in a month, and it gives me the opportunity that I can take longer time off. If I want to go to, say, for instance, Mount Shasta and spend a couple of weeks or maybe even a month, I could do that. And I am next June, and we're going to do that again. And everybody's invited to join us. So just letting you know, this is an informal announcement about that. But really, I want to share these two stories that I think, and I'm sorry, I think my dog is chewing. I have Raven put away, but I have Isabella here happily chewing on a bone, which she seems to do whenever I go on to a video. So sorry, you guys. Maybe I can show you. Well, yeah, we'll do that maybe at the end. But you know, and I just want to let you to know too, there's a critical nursing shortage, really pretty critical. It started with COVID, people quitting, and then the vaccine requirements. A lot of nurses quit because they didn't want to get the vaccine, and now they're still leaving. So if anybody is interested in nursing, you have questions either about hospice or any nursing, you can email me. I'm happy to respond to you and talk about it. It's been a wonderful, gosh, I've been so blessed over the years to do this. Since 1997, I've been working in hospice. Nursing was a second career for me, and I became a nurse in 1991. All right, so, okay, I have notes. That's why I'm looking down. So, because I want to make sure I get the two stories in. Okay. So the first one is about a phone call, actually. So as an on-call nurse, I do make phone calls. You know, I go visit their homes, and then I make phone calls also to check in. So to the same person, and we're going to call him Dave, but he's a 61-year-old man dying with brain cancer. I see a lot of young people with a brain cancer. I don't see the elderly with a brain cancer, which is interesting, but his wife is taking care of him, and his daughter and his parents are there with him all the time. So last weekend, the main purpose I was calling just to get him comfortable. He was really not in a good place. So we got that set up, you know, with the new medicine program, and so now he was much more comfortable this weekend, but he's barely hanging on there at 6 breaths a minute yesterday. And so when I was talking to his wife, we're going to call her Stephanie. Okay. She, as we were talking, and I could feel David's energy. I could feel that the reason he was hanging on for so long, barely breathing, and really for a whole week of really shallow, barely hanging on. She said, I could feel that the reason he was hanging on is because he didn't want to leave the family, his wife, his daughter, and his parents too. And he was just a warrior. And I kept saying to her, wow, he's a hero. He's such a warrior hanging on. He's proving his strength to you by hanging on so long. I mean, really, it's so touching. And as I was saying that, then I saw the angels. Now, the angels really were in my mind's eye, but I knew the angels. I could see his room. All of a sudden, I could see his room with the angels, blue and white angels, kind of hovering. I mean, the room was filled, hovering, you know, they weren't on the floor, they were up. They were more towards the ceiling, hovering. They had the wings. There was blue ones, there was white ones, which is what I normally see anyway when I'm actually with somebody in their room, in their dying. I often see the blue or the white angels. So this is probably the first time I've seen the angels over the phone. I mean, I see angels, of course, all the time when I'm doing readings, or when I'm talking to somebody that I'm doing a reading for, or mediumship friends, you know, then I see them come, you know, in my place and in their place at the same time. But this is different because I wasn't doing a reading. And anyway, I just said, I just see the room filled with angels. And she said, yes, he's all prayed up, is what she said. We sit with him, we read sacred text, we listen to sacred music, and constantly saying prayers for him. And so it was so beautiful that I knew, and I told her, well, you know that he's this warrior now for you. He's going to be the same when he crosses over. He's just going to be there fighting for you the whole time, for you and the family. And it was just really, it was so nice. And she was so happy to hear these words. And I think perhaps we had the conversation really so that she could get affirmation for this. I don't know. You know how spirit works in these synchronistic ways. I love how synchronicity works in spirit. So let me just see if there's anything else around there. I just thought that was beautiful. I hope you do too. Okay, another story. I want to just make sure. Yeah, okay. And this is about a death, a grandmother Alicia. Alicia Gonzalez, actually. She's only 71. She died this morning. I saw her yesterday. And she has probable lung cancer. So she was very short of breath. And the family, they were all afraid to use any opioids because she was afraid of hallucinating and things like that with medicines, and very anti-medicine. By the way, the Latino families are they really honor the time of death. They make it a mark in time. I usually remind people to honor the time with either a flower, a song, a prayer, a blanket, whatever it is, to just mark the moment of time. But what I find with the Latino families is everybody comes. I mean, anybody who's in town that will be there. As soon as they hear that somebody has passed, they all show up. A couple of weeks ago, I was with a family. I almost did a video on this. There was at least 150 people. And it was a home, it was a trailer home, but it was a big yard. There was a lot of kids outside, dogs inside, outside, food all over, people coming and going. And it was a little chaotic, but that it was beautiful the way they honored her, you couldn't get a parking spot on the street, maybe 2 streets over, because everybody had come to see her at her time of death. So anyway, what I'm just saying is, it's very lovely to experience that. But for this lady, for grandmother Alicia, the family finally agreed to take a tiny dose of opioids. Now, opioids such as morphine or oxycodone or Dilaudid or even methadone help with the breathing because it opens the arteries in the whole body. And people have this misconception that it's the opioid that causes the death, but the opioid just helps with the transition because it makes them breathe easier. And when people are relaxed and they can breathe easier, then they can go when they want. It doesn't force them over the edge to go. So anyway, some people have a misconception about that. But she was taking the teeniest, tiniest 2 milligrams. Okay, so not an overdose. But anyway, this morning she was finally comfortable. And what was so beautiful when I arrived at the time of death, she lived with her granddaughter, 3 great grandchildren, a Doberman Pinscher, the son-in-law, which was I guess a great son-in-law, and then her daughter lived they were in an apartment complex. The daughter lived just in another building. And so when I got there, the great grandchildren, and there was 3 of them, and they had their bunk beds in her room. They were just playing and talking, and they would come over to say hi to her or bye to her, and then go back and sit in their bed, and they were just moving around like it's so natural. This is part of life. The time of transition is a natural part of life, and that's how they treated it. It was gorgeous. And a moment of special for me was the grandson, who was our great grandson. He was about 9. He, after we had cleaned her, changed her clothes, and she felt a little. We had put lotion on her, and I usually put in a little essential oils. I I have a blend. I just carry it with me in my nursing bag, and I just use it for just to, make a nice sacred space and smells nice. And I use a blend called Serenity. I mean, you could use rose, whatever, there's any whatever you like. But and I usually dab a little bit here and there, like on her third eye and over her ears and different places, but on her feet. But so the grandson was touching her skin, and he said, "Oh, she feels different," and we were, but he said, "I want to hold her hand. I want to hold her hand." And she had already was pretty stiff because it had been about 6 or 7 hours since she passed. But he still wanted, I thought that was so beautiful. He still wanted to hold her hand. And he told me and his mom, he said, "Grandma told me, Xavier, when I die, you can have my Celia." And he said, "Now I get to have the big chair that my grandmother sat in, and I know she'll be sitting with me." So I just think it's touching, very touching. Okay. Now, I guess that's all of my stories. I don't know. I want you guys to please, if you have any questions, comments, or whatever, hospice stories, hospice questions, share them with me. You can email me, kim@mediumkim.com. Or if you are interested in a reading, same, you can email me or look at my website, mediumkim.com. But I want to also let you know, see, next month, well, this month too, if you still want to join, you can join the Galactic Foundations. Danny Shave and I are doing just a quick little series, a little meditation on Tuesday evenings. You can join still. And this is about just finding out a little bit about your galactic heritage. And I'm leading this month, and next month Danny is leading, and he's going to be taking us on some galactic journeys. So anyway, in the meantime, you guys, look forward to seeing you, and hope you're doing okay. I'm going to show you my dog if I can. Her little Isabella. Isabella, you going to come over here? There she. I don't know if you can see her. Oops, Isabella. Isabella. Oh well. There. Oh well. How about you didn't get dizzy with that? Now she's looking. Oh well, you guys. Hope you're doing okay. Have a great weekend. Bye.